All right, so I get to do something today that I did last year at the rallies back in January, launching a new product. And I can't tell you how exciting it is, because really all I do in a classroom is launch an exam, and I get no feedback like this. So this is just wonderful to see. I want to start by, I know you want me to just show you the picture of it and tell you all about it, right? No. We need the story, and I hope every time you talk about a Neolife product, you have that science story. You need to have a science story, because all the products have what I call, and I hope everybody, including the director of the Scientific Advisory Board, agrees with my feeling on when I've been at the SAB meetings. We just had one in April. I pause and think about, this is really what I call thoughtful science. And I don't mean kind and excuse me, I don't want to bump into you. I mean thoughtful. It's based in this makes sense, this makes scientific sense, and here's the evidence. I know too many supplement companies out there that don't have that type of thoughtful science whatsoever. And that's what I want you to know is behind. And there's a passion that each one of us has, and it's exciting to see. And sometimes, you blink your eye and we're already talking about some other new product. So it's really exciting. And about 18 months ago, we brought to you the new line, the Nutrients Organic. Okay, I pushed it. So I'm going to, okay, there it is. And we are understanding better with our new line and with research that's building up over the handful of years. And let me ask you, are you seeing more ads on TV and reading about, they talk about the skin barrier? Anybody noticing that? Well, it's the buzz, and thank you, Neolife, for getting that going well ahead of time, thinking this through, and talking about the science behind skincare. Now, I want all of you, I obviously see both men and women in here. I want to convince you, if you don't have it as part of your story, as you talk to people about Nutrients Organic skincare line, that everybody needs it. So we're going to talk about the reasons behind skincare. This isn't a function of if you look better with or without wrinkles. Everybody has their opinion on that. I mean, sometimes wrinkles, there's wisdom with age. Let's look at it that way. But what we want to talk about is that the skin, we're understanding, has an important role in our health. And Neolife is all about health. The structure and function of skin is number one to protect you. It's really the only organ on your outside. It weighs over 4 pounds if I were to take it off you and pile it up on a scale. Heaven forbid that I would do that to you, but then you'd feel very exposed, obviously. Everything would be out in the open, and we need that skin to protect us. So what I want to do is show you, and you may have recalled this from last time, understand what's going on with our skin. Now, I'm blessed with a new grandchild, a granddaughter. It's my only one, thank you to my son. And I just stare at her skin and think how magnificent, how beautiful. And it's brand new. It's brand new, but it's aging. I don't mean that badly, but we all grow up and age. And all of us go through transformations as an individual, but our skin does. And as we age, our skin layers change. And I want us to look at this young girl morphing, and I want you to think about she's a very angelic face, and you can guess maybe what age she is, and think, wow, I wish I had skin like that. But think about a place on your body that you do have skin close to that. Can everybody think? You don't have to share. But can everybody think of where that is? Somewhere, okay? And let's talk about why that changes. So let's see this young girl change. And as she ages, I know a lot of you go, oh, God, is that me? I want you to see something different. I want you to see a woman with much experience, with her own beauty, but what we have to ask, is her skin health optimal? That's a protective barrier. Many people, as they get older, men and women, suffer from skin-related health concerns, and it's an open window to your body. If you lose skin barrier function, it's more prone to inflammation, inflammatory skin conditions, which can lead to other conditions inside of you. So while we want to just think of this as healthy, beautiful skin, I want you to underscore the healthy for men and women, and that we are doing this for a reason. Neolife is about nourishing your insides and your outsides. And we have many products that nourish your insides. And wonderfully, thoughtful science has backed up the whole Nutrients organic skincare line. So here's your skin. We've taken a paper punch hole. We've stacked it up right here. Just cube out of your skin. We're looking at it. You need to know these layers to tell your story. We have several layers to the skin. The top three are extremely important. The first one is invisible, so that's kind of weird because, well, it's there. It's called the acid mantle. It's protective. It's a certain pH. It's slightly acidic. We're in between below 6, 4.5 to 6. What's pH? It's like a room temperature. We have to keep it at a narrow range, and we need it at that slightly acidic range to keep the bacteria alive on our skin, to keep that barrier function that keeps what needs to stay out, and what needs to stay in on our inside. We have just below that invisible layer is what we call the horny layer. Sounds weird, but the way I want you to think about it is that is this impermeable skin barrier. We don't want disruption, loss of integrity in this layer. So if we think about it, I always like to relate this to a beautiful green lawn. So if we had holes in that lawn, just because parts of it died, it would be more susceptible to weeds growing and taking over and coming through and just basically ruining that lawn. We want to keep this horny layer, the skin barrier, impermeable as it is. And this is fed by the inner layers, the active cell renewal, making new skin cells. They come up to the surface, they morph, they change, they eventually die, and those dead cells come off. This is a constant process. In that little girl that we saw, she's not quite at her peak cell renewal time. It happens in those younger years, but basically all of this slows down in your 20s, and by your 30s, you're aging. You have lost some of that capacity, and it doesn't renew as quickly. Doesn't mean your skin doesn't need the same healthy care and a way to nourish those cells so that they can turn over. But usually it slows down, and this can be accelerated by different environmental factors. The dermis, that middle layer, let me get the pointer on it, see it over there, that's where the collagen is that you make, and you might say, why are we not putting collagen in some of our products? Because you can't make a difference by putting it on topically. It doesn't work. This is thoughtful science. That doesn't make sense. So the dermis is nourished by what you're eating, that you're feeding it, and there's so many items, omega-3s, adequate protein in the diet, and so on. And the subcutaneous fat layer underneath, this is the one place our skin sub-Q fat layer thins as we age. Other places may get bigger as we age, but this one thins. And you may have noticed that that woman had definite changes in her facial structure as that subcutaneous layer, as well as the dermis layer, did not maintain integrity. So this should be part of your story, and as well as what's happening to it. Why is this a challenge for us? Well, think about that place on your body that's like that young girl's face. Okay, visualize it. What hasn't it been exposed to? If it's where I'm thinking of, I hope it hasn't been exposed. Where? Okay, what's missing? Like sun, damage from the sun. I used to, back in the day, take the most pungent tonic, a toner, and put it on my face, and the more uncomfortable it felt, the better I thought it was. What did I know, I was talking about fiber to my students. I didn't know that this made a difference, but we've learned a lot. We use harsh chemicals on our face. Who uses the hand bar soap in the hotel or anywhere? Just scrub, dry. Okay, if you feel a puckering, like, ooh, that's clean, that's actually the pH that's just been disrupted on the surface of your skin. You've offset the temperature of your skin, and that is disruptive to the bacteria that live there and that barrier function that you want to keep impermeable, keep its integrity. So there are many things that we're doing. That place that is soft and supple on your body that doesn't look like your face or the top of your hands or your arms, depending on how much sun exposure or exposure to chemicals you get, you've been treating it well, but our whole body, it's not practical to treat it that way. But we can establish a quality skincare routine. And we introduced this 18 months ago to use only gentle acting, pH balance, slightly what? Basic, high pH, or slightly acidic? Which do we want? Slightly acidic. We don't want to put hydrochloric acid on our face. That's bad acid, or vinegar. That pH is very disruptive. But this is specifically balanced, so any of you using it, I use it all the time, that you notice there's nothing astringent about the cleansing gels and the various products that you're using. You want to protect that skin barrier function. Why? You have to have an answer for those questions. Why do we want to protect that integrity? Better health. Ultimately, you keep that skin barrier function impermeable, not susceptible to oxidative damage, UV light, air pollutants. You stay healthier, your skin is healthier, and it protects you. The main function of your skin organ is to protect you. It's a protector. I want you to think of it that way. So over many, many months before its introduction, the Scientific Advisory Board, along with experts in dermatological care, European experts, and I'll show you pictures of where the materials come from, developed a 3-step program with a soft, gentle cleansing, with then to help cleanse and detoxify, then a balancing tonic to help literally balance. If you've used it, there's corn flour water in it, and it really does invigorate without feeling astringent, as well as addressing that horny layer and below to help activate those cells and nourish them. So it's looking at those top surfaces. Now, what's in this product line, in this different steps, is a host of marine botanicals and plant botanicals, and these were thoughtfully chosen. Remember the thoughtful science? These make sense. And what was done is, from looking at the different skin types, it's not a one-size-fits-all, that the Scientific Advisory Board, along with the advice of these experts in Europe, in France, went to a very pristine area off the coast of Brittany, France, a collection of islands called the Isle des Moulins, and I'm just waiting for my invitation to go there, and I'll take a guest, okay? Anybody want to go with me? I would love to go. It looks spectacular. Why this area was chosen is because of the unique diversity of sea life, of sea plants, and by now you know that neolife is all about the phytonutrients, the polyphenols and more in plants like tomatoes and carrots. What do you think's under the ocean surface? Plants, seaweed, different colored seaweed. Those seaweeds are living a life under the ocean, swaying back and forth, exposed to different environments, and they too have phytonutrients. It makes sense. And these unique compounds has been discovered, have unique benefits in protecting your skin, in helping with firmness, in protecting that skin barrier. So in this region, the seaweeds, the many different types, are carefully harvested. And I want to point out, they're done so sustainably. This is a UNESCO site, which means that it is protected. It's far away from pollutants. So if I were to sample seawater, we're not near the ocean, huh, in California. We're not even near it either. What am I talking about? I'm in Davis. Has anybody been there? Okay, we're not near any ocean. I'd like to pretend we were, but we're not. But anyway, if you go off the coast of California and we sampled the water and sampled the seaweed, we'd find contaminants. Pretty much all around the world, you find contaminants. But this site is considered extremely pristine, far away from industrial contaminants. This is also important. Again, what do we call this? Thoughtful science. We don't want something in a product that we don't want, that we don't know how, can't predict how it will behave. So this batch of ingredients harvested from the ocean, and not just plants, but also phytoplankton, small animals, little sea creatures, is carefully done, processed right away within 24 hours. There's a special cold processing technique. All of this so important. And we have our age-defying cell-activating system. It's amazing. It is amazing. And I gotta say, I've been with Neolife for the 2 full years. 18 months ago, I started using, it's like, what, you have something for skin health? I love all the others. I started using it, and I get a lot of wonderful comments, but I must say, who knew that my skin would look better joining Neolife? It was not something that John Miller told me was going to happen. So thanks, John. Yeah. So when you look at this, just last January, we introduced the InstaLift Eye Gel, which again has some marine botanicals along with some other botanicals in it to help with wrinkles, puffiness, baggy eyes. A wonderful product. Do you think there's a blank there that needs to be filled? Do you think there's something missing? I mean, we have this beautiful setup of gentle cleansers for 2 different skin types. We have the balancing tonic. We have hydration serums, moisturizers. Okay, here we go. Let's hope it works. I love this. Let's pause and think here. Doesn't that give you this lovely feeling of something hydrating and rejuvenating? Remember, from the ocean is thalassotherapy, therapy with ocean nutrients and minerals. And it's modern day thalassotherapy originated off the coast of Brittany, where we're getting our ingredients. So here it is, the Nutrients Organic, Rich, Rejuvenating Rich Cream. Yay. And there are some 15 different ingredients that are thoughtfully put into this product, but let me tell you that the lead player, Immortal Blue, vitamin C, and hyaluronic acid, along with many other phytonutrients from the sea as well as plants. So let's get talking about what's in the Rejuvenating Rich Cream. And I'll tell you a story at the end about my daughter that has to do with this, okay? Don't let me forget. Who's on task? Okay, you got me covered? Okay, don't let me forget. Okay, so why a rich cream? Why are we heading in this direction? Well, what happens to us as we age? What's going on? to our skin surface. We're not able to renew our skin cells as effectively, as quickly. It slows down dramatically when we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s. Remember the woman aging? That's a fact of life. What we can do is help to nourish and protect that moisture, avoid this transepidural water loss that occurs. As we get older, we lose elasticity. We don't produce as much oil on our skin. These are all facts of life. But depending on how you take care of your skin, you can help protect that skin barrier. And perhaps the most important is the water loss, the dehydration. And I would guess that a lot of you have experienced being out in some harsh environments before. What comes to mind? Like a day spent hiking. Bright sun, even though you got your groovy hiking hat on and some sunblock, you still feel like a prune when you come back. I had the treat to go to Africa at the end of June and the first part of July. And wow, talk about sun-beaten, dry weather that you just come out. I traveled with the Rejuvenating Rich Cream and just kept putting it on my face. It worked. But we're always exposed to something that may affect us. So let's start with the first 7 ingredients. I certainly don't expect you to memorize all of this as we go, but know that you are well supported with the fast facts and other information. And my understanding is you'll be able to go out afterwards at the booth and try it and learn more. So first, let's take a look at the basis here. Is we use marine botanicals. Immortal Blue is in the middle. I'll say more about that shortly. Then we have some seaweed extracts, some brown seaweed, green. We also have Alteramonas, which comes from a phytoplankton off the coast of Brittany, France, from the Isle de Moline. And we also have vitamin C and hyaluronic acid. So let's just take a look at the botanical anti-aging marine complex. BAM for short. I love that. It'll help you remember. Botanical anti-aging marine complex. And this consists of these 5 ingredients, carefully selected for their properties. And let's start with Immortal Blue. We know that it helps address that skin barrier function. And we're interested in keeping the integrity of that skin barrier function. We also have Alteramonas, so we're looking at down here. This is the phytoplankton, and from that comes a polysaccharide. Poly means many, saccharide means a sugar. You might say, I don't want to put many sugars on my face. Oh, yes, you do. Because this is there are polysaccharides in nature, on your skin, elsewhere. It actually helps hydrate. And this, we know, can help fight wrinkles. The others, the Daberlox, we know is important for firmness. And then the other 2 seaweeds, oarweed and sea kelp, help with antioxidant properties. Antioxidants is simply a way of saying we need to have some fire extinguishers stationed around here to help protect us from fire. We need to have almost invisible ones on our skin to protect from UV light, air pollution, anything that might cause oxidative damage. So look at it that way. We're just putting more protection on our skin. So what's this called? What's our key acronym? BAM. Stands for Botanical Anti-Aging Marine Complex. How many ingredients in there? You can count them. 5. Led by Immortal Blue. Okay, so now let's look at the wrinkle fighters. And I'm going to guess that you've heard of vitamin C before. Okay, fair enough. Okay, it is a vitamin that for humans and other primates, some fish, the fruit-eating bat, and other, as I mentioned, other primates, you have to have it in your diet. We can't make it. We can't make it. But we eat fruits and vegetables, and this antioxidant gets put in the water-soluble parts of our body inside cells and provides many different roles. It's also involved in the formation of collagen. When put on your skin topically in the right form, vitamin C actually is a highly reactive compound because it's a fire extinguisher ready to go off and protect you. We want to keep it more stable. So in a special stabilized form, it's added to rejuvenating rich cream, and it gets incorporated into actually the layers of the skin, and we know that this helps protect against photo damage to the skin and actually can have a slight lightening effect to some of the sunspots that people may get. The second ingredient, hyaluronic acid, is in a lot of cosmetic products, but maybe you didn't know this, it's something that you make. It's something that your skin and you are able to make. But guess what happens when you age? Among other things, people. Production goes down. So it's helpful to get this topical application, but again, thoughtful science. Not just any hyaluronic acid, but of different, what we call molecular weights. That means different sizes. So if we could use that green lawn as an example, I want to nourish that green lawn. So I want to not only give those top new growing blades of grass some nourishment, but I want to go down deep and get to where I don't even see emerging blades of grass. I want to make sure I nourish those roots. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's what you're doing with hyaluronic acid in different sizes. Some penetrate the skin and nourish and help moisturize, actually locking in moisture, and then on the surface doing the same. So this is all thoughtfully added as to what goes in this product. And then we have 5 more ingredients, so we had 7. 5 more. Could have stopped at those, but no, these make, again, thoughtful science sense. So we have what we call the marine lipid blend, and lipid is a word for fat. Lipid's a word for fat. It's more, usually connotates liquid fats. So we have a type of fat, squalane, from olives. And have any of you seen an olive tree before? Probably a lot of you, and it's, check it out. They can be big trees. Actually, where I'm from, there are trees that are 120 years old, and they are quite large. They're amazingly big, but they keep cutting off branches because they hang over the road, and then the olives fall, and then people slip on their bikes, and that's because there's olive oil on the road. Not good. So anyway, big old trees, they're really fun to look at. Argan. This is the nut and the lipid, the oil that comes from it, from an argan tree found in Africa. So these are real, and you've maybe seen them in some cosmetic products. They also can be eaten. Avocado. Have you seen an avocado tree before? Typically grown in Southern California and Mexico. Beautiful trees, very lovely leaves. They can become quite large, but not redwood tree large, like a fruit tree large, an old cherry tree looking type. And then there's shea, which comes from another tree from Africa, a very rich, solid fat. It's solid at room temperature and even at slightly warmer temperatures. In Africa, it's hot, right? So it makes sense for this tree to make nuts that has the ability to grow into a new tree. Very nourishing lipids that are found in. And then have you heard of a baobab as an ingredient? Has anybody seen a baobab tree? Okay, some of you have. I figured you would. Well, I was blown away. They're from Africa, and I hope there is a baobab tree. That is one tree. That is a man with his goats underneath it. It's just stunningly amazing, and that baobab in the background, the fruit, is actually quite large. So I just wanted to show you that. I took that picture because I was so blown away. And the elephants go, when it's a drought, they rub up against that tree and actually strip off the bark for moisture. So they're after the moisture from that tree. Very, very interesting. Almost looks cartoonish when you're out there and you see these massive trees. Just amazing. So these lipids, thoughtfully chosen get incorporated into the skin barrier surface. So we have that layer of the acid mantle, the horny layer, the active cell renewal. There are a lot of fats within that that you make. You're just helping it out. You're nourishing them. And you want to lock in moisture. Okay, so these ingredients. And that's not all. We have added essential oils from plants, from lavender, from chamomile, and ylang-ylang. And these have a relaxing, nourishing, and soothing feel to the skin. So, anybody keeping track of the count of how many thoughtful ingredients? 15. 15. Just amazing to me. And we can't stop there. On ingredients, I will stop my discussion. But now what would you want to know? Okay, there's all these luxurious ingredients, and I love that baobab tree and this and that, but what? What do you want to ask me? Oh, when can you get it? Well, you need to know more than that, Louis. Don't you want to know, does it work? Does it work? Well, Neolife Scientific Advisory Board, of course, thoughtfully has examined that, has established clinical proof. And I think this is just critical and something that you need to have stand by you, that there is proof around our products. So, Rejuvenating Rich Cream was clinically tested. This product was tested in people. It was tested at European dermatology clinics and research centers. And it was supervised testing. This wasn't random. There were well-controlled studies that were performed. Now, I'm going to tell my daughter's story just because I'm going to just, N of one. I started using this. I just kept bugging Dr. Clayton, can I get a sample? Can I get a sample? Because I had been using the others and I knew I was going to be involved in the launch and I'm very honored to talk about it. And so 2 months ago, I started using it as described. I used it after my 3-step and then put it on and then used it at night as well. And I coincidentally did not see my daughter, who is 32 years old, lives in Santa Cruz, who I started on the Nutrients line, who loves it. She's just at that age where she, is concerned about skin health and keeping it as well-nourished as possible. So I hadn't seen her for 2 months. I saw her Sunday. She came over. This is going to sound weird, we had a tomato party. I grow a lot of tomatoes, my husband and I do, 60 tomato plants. And anybody that grows tomatoes, that's way too many tomatoes. So we open up our house, we have baskets of tomatoes, and you just make whatever you want. Our house is never the same. We have to reconstruct it after that. But back to my daughter. She comes in before guests came. She drove up from Santa Cruz. She goes, oh, hi, Mom. She gives me a hug. And then she goes like this. She's looking at my face. She goes like this. What'd you do? What'd you do? I go, what are you talking about? I said, I'm using the new product that I'll get as soon as I can get it, the Rejuvenating Rich Cream. She goes, she gave me the finger. No. What'd you do? I go, I'm telling you. So I think it's wonderful. And if you're a critical daughter who can get into your bubble space, you know how they can do that, no permission needed? Like looking, checking, doing all of that. So that's my story. So back to the clinical testing, there are ways that we can evaluate this, and I think it's really important to identify the 2 formats that were used. Subjective methodology. This is basically asking through questionnaires how the users, what their experience was. And sometimes we don't want to know subjective assessments because they could be biased, but they were using the product and placebo, so I think it's important that we talk to what that person is experiencing. They're living in their skin day to day. They know what their skin feels like today, after the next day, and for 4 weeks that they went through this. So they were asked a variety of very important questions that address how their skin felt. And then also some like, would you recommend this to a friend? So we call that subjective methodology. Then we had some objective methodology. That is getting some hard facts. Can we measure through an uninvolved, non-neo-life person, a dermatologist, an expert, a couple of them overseeing, looking at scientific measures of hydration? Corneometry. It's simply looking at moisture content of the skin. I say it's simple, but actually the technique is complicated. It's looking at how well an electrical current can be conducted through skin that has more moisture in it versus less, and there's a difference, and that's how it's determined. Also, a really interesting technique where you essentially make a topographic map of the face to look at the length and depth of wrinkles. So if you've ever taken, I don't know, that you've taken hot wax and put it on your face. That's what came to mind. So if we did, and it wasn't burning hot wax, and we put paraffin melted, put it on your face, let it cool, and lift it off a mask, we would see some fine lines and creases and imperfections, maybe a few scars. So it's essentially doing that and being able to reverse it and look at the length and depth of wrinkles. Would you want to see the outcome of that? I mean, absolutely. How do we measure whether that's been altered? So let's look first at the hydration. Was this objective or subjective measure? It's always a quiz with me. Objective, thank you. We are getting hard and fact information. So after being treated with the rejuvenating rich cream, in 2 hours, over 50% increase in hydration. Now, that's impressive, very impressive. Here's what I feel even better about. Look where we are at 8 hours. We're at over 35%. So that makes a huge difference. So we're way out there. What are some of their subjective assessments? 95% said their skin was smoother. I don't know that they had the Natalie test with my daughter staring at their faces, but she did this to check out that my skin was smoother. 95% felt their skin was more nourished. Yes, it's a very subjective comment, but I think you living in your own skin, you would be able to say, well, compared to a week ago, this feels better. This feels like it's more nourished. A good 95% said they'd recommend it to a friend. I couldn't recommend it to anybody the past 2 months because I only had that one container that was under lock and key. So it's so wonderful, it's out now. And then a full 100% said they were more hydrated. And that's what we're after. I think this is very, very impressive after 4 weeks. After 4 weeks. So now let's talk about wrinkles. Nobody really wants that as a topic. Remember, this isn't about beauty. This is about healthy skin. We want our skin to be healthy. 38% reduction in wrinkle length and depth after 4 weeks of use. Okay, how do we know this for sure? I'll show you a picture. I will show you a picture. This is before treatment. So an actual photograph of the skin on the top there, and then that reverse topography, so we can measure the length and the depth of the wrinkles. So that's what we're seeing on the left. And then after 4 weeks of treatment, I think that's going to switch, and I can get a drink. Just look for yourself, the difference. It really does work after that 4 weeks that we notice this wrinkle here versus how far it extends, length, and we see the intensity of the blue. So if you can see over there, the intensity of the blue is less, so the depth of that wrinkle has shortened. 38% in 4 weeks. This is huge. It's very, very impressive. So when we take a look at the line of Nutrients Organic with the gentle cleansing, either the cleansing milk or gel. Step 2, the balancing tonic, which really does a great job. Sometimes I just splash that on. The different hydrating serums for combination to oily versus dry skin, and the nourishing cream. Now we have the rejuvenating rich cream to add to that repertoire, and I believe you'll be extremely happy with this. We thoughtfully went through all these ingredients. We have wrinkle fighters, we have the Mediterranean lipid profile to add to the barrier on your skin to help nourish it. We have vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, and the best thing is it works. We know it works. We have evidence, so we don't make it and say, go out there. We know that this product is working. So, I don't know what happened to the cream there. So this is, to me, one of these examples that Neolife comes up with time and time again. We're basing this product in nature. Organic EcoCert, we know that it is pure. We know that what's in it works. It's backed by science. So I think you'll enjoy it tremendously and have fun with it. I know I am. Thank you. Thank you.